our next presentation is going to be our Children's Justice Act performance reporting. And so I want to welcome back Adonica, and I'll let you introduce your presenters. And whenever you're ready to share and move forward, feel free.
All right, I'm working to share my screen. So hi again, everyone. I am Adonica McAllister, and I supervise the Juvenile Justice Planning team. And I'll have the team come off camera and just introduce themselves. I'm a fan of putting a face to a name.
I'm Wayne Stiles.
Wayne? Oh.
Sorry, Adonica. I'm Wayne Stiles. I'm the Juvenile Justice Planner and Grants Administrator. Thank you.
Oops, sorry, I was muted. I'm Toni Lockley. I'm the CJA coordinator on the Juvenile Justice Planning team.
And we are going to be presenting on our juvenile justice grant reporting for our two funding sources. So we wanted to talk a little bit about our committee first. We operate and support the Juvenile Justice Planning Committee, who's responsible for providing resources for youth who are at risk of becoming delinquent due to various factors, individual, school, family, peer, or community. And the resources provide services for youth who are delinquent, undisciplined, or involved in the juvenile court process from intake through aftercare. Our Juvenile Justice Planning Committee, we also call it the JJPC, is our state advisory group as required by our Title II funding source. And there are two subcommittees, one being the Racial and Ethnic Disparity Subcommittee, and the other being the Children's Justice Act Task Force. So the JJPC funds programs through two federal grant funding sources. The first being the Title II formula grant. We refer to Title II as our juvenile justice funds. And the Children's Justice Act, or CJA. CJA funding is administered from the Administration on Children, Youth, and Families through the Department of Health and Human Services. And our Title II funds are through OJJDP, or the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention.
And I'm going to speak a little bit about our required reports. All projects approved are required to submit regular performance reports as a condition of funding. Please remember that reports must be submitted by the respective deadlines, and responses should include quantitative information where and when possible. And please remember the non-submission reports will impact your ability to receive reimbursement for project-related expenses. The purpose of our performance reports, if you've probably heard a few times today, is for grantees to report to us, the Governor's Crime Commission. The GCC then reports that data to the state and to our federal partners, or for the state, sorry, pardon me, to our federal partners, OJJDP, USDHHS, and then our federal partners report nationwide data to Congress and the Office of Management and Budget. Reports by award type. All projects funded by the GCC are required to provide an annual project progress report that aligns with the specific goals and objectives of the project. Both Children's Justice Act and juvenile justice projects must submit a mid-year and a final report. Please note that extensions to the award period may require additional reporting. And then here are our grant types and the report names. So all GCC grants would use the project progress report, and the activity period for that is October to September. The due date is October 30th. Children's Justice Act grants use the CJA mid-year and the CJA final. And the juvenile justice grants, also the juvenile justice mid-year and the juvenile justice final. If you have any questions, follow up with us either in the chat or with us via email about due dates and any reporting obstacles, please reach out to us. Accessing performance reports. As you've seen before on the GCC website, you're going to go to the grants form section. You're going to select the link with the correct report, whether JJ or CGA. The link will take you to an external form to complete reporting online. Complete all of the applicable fields to report. Before submitting the form, check the box to receive a copy of your responses via email. That's fairly important. Please do that. And then save the email responses as a PDF. During this process of submitting performance reports, the responses to report questions must be then uploaded to EBS. First, you log into the EBS system, select the GCC Progress Performance tile, select Submit New Report, select the appropriate grant agreement. Using the description dropdown, find the correct report, and then enter the reporting period dates, otherwise known as the activity period, as you see outlined in red.
And hopefully everybody is observing the trend. Our reporting systems don't connect with our grant system, so it's really important that you save those reports after submitted and you upload them. Tony?
Thank you. So you've just heard about Title II and the Children's Justice Act and the basics of reporting, assessment, and submission. Building on that, I'll be focusing specifically on CJA reporting. I'll walk you through the online form, the priority areas, and the reporting questions. So the CJA Task Force was established under Section 107A of the Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act. The task force does not operate programs directly. Instead, its role is to improve the systems that respond to child abuse neglect. It develops and monitors training, recommends policies, and plays a central role in the state's 3-year assessment of the child welfare system. It also accountability. It reviews performance to determine whether funded programs meet the needs of the children and families, and also identifies areas where system improvements are needed. So CJA grants are awarded to develop and operate programs that strengthen how child abuse neglect cases are assessed, investigated, and prosecuted in the state. Be used for. They are not intended for preventive treatment services or direct services to children or families. The emphasis must remain on strengthening the systems that respond to abuse neglect, not on direct service delivery. Like Title II, as Wayne mentioned earlier, CJA funded programs have reporting requirements. Each project must complete a mid-year and final report. Beginning October 1, all CJA projects will follow newly implemented performance measures designed to better capture project outcomes. If you have an active project, your next report will be due October 30th. And these reports are tailored to your project's funding priority. That's CJA priority A, B, or C, which you can find in your agreement in EBS. We've also added broader questions to capture overall successes and challenges, giving projects space to highlight progress, identify barriers, and communicate areas where further support may be needed. So we have a new process for accessing CJA Task Force information and submitting this performance reports. This is the online performance report that you will use, or the form that you will use. And if you click the links shown, you'll also see general information about the CJA Task Force, plus resources like the most recent RFA, the 3-year assessment, and program regulations. The form itself collects the basics, the submission date, report period, agreement number, subrecipient, implementing agency, and your program priority. Once you select your program priority, A, B, or C, the corresponding questions automatically populate, and they're tailored to guide your responses and ensure you answer only what's relevant to your project. And just a quick note, when I say program priority or priority area, I'm referring to the same thing. So priority A, B, or C, both terms just refer to which focus area your project falls under. So for priority A projects, these are designed to improve investigative, administrative, and judicial handling of child abuse and neglect cases, and that includes sexual abuse, exploitation, fatality, and multi-jurisdictional matters. Projects in this area also focus on reducing trauma to child victims and families while ensuring procedural fairness. These questions shown here also are designed to help you show the impact of your work and how it aligns with the goals of the priority. Number one, what measures have been implemented to improve the investigative, administrative, or judicial handling of child abuse and neglect cases? In what ways has this worked to reduce trauma experienced by the primary and secondary victims? How does this ensure procedural fairness to the accused while also reducing trauma to victims and families? If possible, provide relevant numerical data related to this project. And how has this project worked to increase collaboration between agencies in child abuse and neglect cases? Priority B projects focus on testing innovative approaches that improve the resolution of civil and criminal child abuse and neglect cases. They aim to enhance the effectiveness of judicial and administrative actions, and that includes attorneys and guardians ad litem. These projects also focus on ensuring fairness to the accused while minimizing trauma to victims and families. When you report on Priority B projects, the questions focus on your experimental approaches and the lessons learned. What, if any, new approaches for improving the resolution of civil and criminal court proceedings were tested during this performance period? What, if any, measures were implemented or designed to enhance the effectiveness of judicial and/or administrative action in child abuse and neglect cases? How does this ensure procedural fairness to the accused while also reducing trauma to the victims and families? If possible, please provide any relevant numerical data related to this project, and how has this project enhanced the efficiency of child abuse and neglect cases as they work through the system? Priority C addresses systemic reform. They aim to revise laws, regulations, or protocols to better protect children from abuse and neglect, including multi-jurisdictional or sexual abuse cases. For Priority C projects, the questions guide you in describing the progress and impact of any reforms. What recommendations were made during this performance period for the reform of state laws, ordinance, and regulations, etc.? Which of these were advanced or adopted during this performance report? And you'll provide an update, if any, on the progress of any reform efforts. How does this ensure procedural fairness to the accused while also reducing trauma to victims and families? And again, if possible, please provide any relevant numerical data related to this project. And has this project been able to inform lawmaking or regulatory bodies about the needs and issues facing children in North Carolina? And for additional questions, in addition to the priority-specific questions, all projects are asked to provide information about broader progress and impact. First, you will describe your grant activities and how they relate to the needs identified in your grant application, including any evidence-based trainings or programming you implemented. Next, you will describe your overall grant progress, any innovations, success stories, or whether expected changes have occurred. Then you would describe the project's impact on systems, including participant outcomes, barriers encountered, and evaluation results. You'll also confirm whether the project is on track to use all the funds within the grant period of performance and indicate if the project has received an extension. And you would also provide a new end date if that's applicable. After that, provide any additional information that would include challenges that may require training, technical assistance, or support. And finally, upload any attachments or documentation, such as evaluation reports, products, or any supplemental materials. And these questions allow you to present the bigger picture, not only what was achieved under your specific priority, but also how your work will connect to broader system improvements. And just a quick reminder, check the box on the report form if you want to receive a copy of responses via email, and also make sure to upload all submitted responses to your project in EBS. Following these steps will ensure everything is properly documented.
Thank you, Tony. So now I will talk about the juvenile justice or the Title II reports. And much like CJA, we have a little bit different of a process this year, and we're capturing some different information. So if you're funded by our JJ funds, please be careful to pay attention. A little bit about our funding source. LJJDP provides funds directly to states, so to the GCC, and we administer these funds to implement comprehensive juvenile justice plans based on the needs in our state and across jurisdictions. We fund programs that support a combination of 23 federally required program areas. So some of these program areas are what you see when you're applying for your application, also known as the program priority. And again, performance for Title II funded programs is reported directly to OJJDP. Some of our federal grant program doesn't give us this clear picture of what sort of performance measures we should be capturing. And so we've tried to create and develop some ways that we can illustrate the success of your programs in the state. So much like CJA, we've developed an online form that we will be rolling out this year. So for programs that are already open, I believe that your performance report will be due on October the 15th. It's the 30th for CJA, but for October 15th for Title II grants. And much like the CJA report, we do have some links that could be helpful in implementing your project and capturing some information. That includes the most recent request for application, our 3-year plan for juvenile justice, and the current Title II regulations. And we will update any information that may come down federally, and as well as any information that we put out as GCC for like the new RFA. Again, like the other report, there's basic information about the submission date, the report period, your agreement number, the subrecipient and implementing agency, and your program priority. We've included in this report your specific program priorities, but there may be some older grants that are open that don't fall under the priority categories that are listed. So please select other program priority and manually enter what priority your project falls under. So the updated performance measures for juvenile justice include a few different areas. The first being the individuals served. And so this is information about children ages 0 to 10 that might be participants in your program, youth ages 11 to 17, and then young adults ages 18 to 24 that may be served by your program. At the project start, all of the participants count as new admissions because your project is new with the Governor's Crime Commission. It's very important to keep track of your participants that are new and also those that are carried over in subsequent reporting periods. If your project falls under the Racial and Ethnic Disparities Program priority, there is a narrative question that will populate, and it's asking, how has this project impacted or worked to reduce racial and ethnic disparities within the juvenile justice system? This information is important because we share with our committees and our subcommittee, and if there are additional initiatives that might work that we can share with our RED subcommittee, it would be beneficial for them to know this information as well. The next category of questions includes service delivery. And under each of these categories, we have some definitions, such as the difference between a program and a practice. We, GCC, and the federal government also encourage evidence-based programming. So it's really important that if you have an evidence-based supported program, you include any information about the name and the source of the program or practice. This is important because it may help us replicate future programming in other communities in the state. And finally, we have some general questions about your program progress that should be answered, such as what are the accomplishments in your report period? What problems or barriers did you encounter? What major activities are planned for the next 6 months of performance? And then information about your utilization. Are you on to utilize all of the funds within your grant period of performance? Has your project received an extension to your period of performance? And then any additional information. We think a really cool feature in the new reporting platform that we're trying to implement or working to implement is that you can share information with us. So if you want to send us any attachments or documentation, some of the programs that we fund sometimes send news articles about coverage that they've received on the success of their programs. You might have some, documentations or publications that you might want to share with the GCC. Please, please, please don't be shy about uploading this or sending it directly to our team. And as with the other reports, it's important to check the box so that you receive a copy of your responses. and the responses that you've submitted in this separate form must be uploaded to the project in EBS. These systems don't talk to each other, and so the only way that your grant manager will receive and be able to review your report is when you upload it to the grant in EBS. So we're going to go over some tips for reporting your performance. It's really important that you explain how your activities and outcomes are tracked. It's important to include any numerical data, any quantitative metrics that show measurable impact wherever possible. Be honest about the barriers that you experience and realistic about your successes. We love to share your success stories with our federal partners and any lessons learned, because that could help other communities in the state. And highlight any system level changes and improvements that have been that your project has perhaps implemented. And finally, please contact our team if you experience any difficulty in executing the work of your project. Sometimes it's a little challenging to start up your project at the beginning. And so we're here to support you and to offer any training or technical assistance that you may require. Finally, on screen, you'll see all of our information. Like I said, we're here to assist you, and so you can reach us by email or by calling the GCC. Wayne, are there any questions in the chat?
No questions in the chat, but people are free to contact us and reach out if they have any. Thank you.
All right, that is it. Thank you.